Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Dirt Trail Running Podcast. I'm Coach Lindsay, and we have Coach Loretta, and we do have a special guest today. I'll let him introduce himself, but good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, I'm Josh Sprague from Orange Mud. I make hydration packs for runners and cyclists, and happy to be on with you guys.
Nice. And we heard he was a super fan, so we decided we'd bring him on.
Yeah, there you go.
I love
nerd
it.
out.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask too, because I haven't had the opportunity to meet you, but I noticed we have a ton of mutual friends all on the West Coast. So you're on the West Coast, right?
Well, it used to be, yeah. When we
Okay.
started Orange Mud 14 years ago, we were in Southern California in Corona,
Yeah.
and basically Inland Empire, Orange County-ish area.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was the starting point for Orange Mud, and it wasn't simply because we were there. I'll give huge credit to the Inland Empire Running Club. My first 5 prototypes I took out to the running club meeting, and I was like, anybody want to try this? And a bunch of runners didn't know who I was. They're like, I don't know who you are, dude. But this one dude, Luis, he's like, yo, man, I'll try that thing. He's this crazy Mexican dude, and he is like the funniest guy on the freaking planet. And everybody loves him. And he went out and ran with it, and he's like, dude, this is great. I just love this thing. And next thing you know, it's like, and it was. I really believe it's thanks to Lewis that everything got started, and then it just kept going from there in SoCal. So yeah, it's
Cool.
a good space.
So you design product for Orange Mud, correct? And
Yep.
I want to there's so many hydration packs out there. We all have tried, others. And my kind of biggest pet peeve with them is I'm a runner that hates wearing them when I run flat. Like I love a pack when I run uphill or downhill, but for some reason it just feels, I don't know, a little bit like sloshy when I'm running on a flat ground. How
Yeah.
can you describe Orange Mud packs for people, and what on the design kind of helps that from bouncing and things like that? Like what's the advantage of an Orange Mud pack?
Sure. Yeah, well, the whole reason why I just designed them in the beginning is because I wanted something that didn't move, bounce, squeeze, whatever, and as many packs do. And so the real big difference with us is that we basically start by anchoring to the front of your shoulders and then just wraps around to the back. Like I don't care about what's going on up front in the chest. In my initial design, the Hydro Quiver, it didn't even have chest straps. So it doesn't. It still doesn't to this day. And so it works great for everyone, whether you're a 5-year-old or you're a whatever, any age, and then male, female, chest size doesn't matter. I mean, it's truly one of the coolest fits because of the way it only goes from front of shoulders to back. It's chest size that ends up impacting a whole bunch of the reason why you have to get all these different fits. But anyway, the cool part about that is that you don't have chest straps, which make a lot of people try to overcompress either your lungs or trying to make it stable. This area doesn't change. Shoulders to back doesn't change. So the movement is rock solid. And to me, everything about every single one of the designs that I've ever made, even with the ones that do have chest straps, it's still not about the chest strap. The chest strap is only stabilizing your flask or your phone or food up front.
Right.
But I still anchor to the front, and it keeps the fluid stable. So that's everything in our premise is make fluid stable. If you make fluid stable, then it doesn't slosh on any surface.
Right.
So it's where a lot of brands, they all go lightweight and stretchy, pretty fabrics and all this cool stuff. And sometimes I'm like, wow, that looks really cool. Only problem is it sucks. And you just watch people when you go for a run. Next time you look at an Orange Mud pack, watch and see if it moves, and then watch whatever pack, pick it. And you'll see if you're running with a bladder in the back, most every pack on the market, you'll just see it just doing this. It just kind of dances all around. But ours, it doesn't. It just tracks right with you. It's rock solid.
The other
Right.
thing I notice is that I don't know, the farther I get into a race, I don't know if I'm like shrinking, but I have to keep tightening, tightening and tightening.
Sure. Yeah, we either shrink or sometimes we expand too. I mean, sodium is a crazy thing, and
Right.
and even trauma. If you train as little as I do and then do irresponsibly large things, then all of a sudden I think your body goes into trauma. I often gain weight afterwards, which I often blame on sodium, but I think it's my body saying, maybe you should train more before you do something really stupid. I don't know. Is it normal to gain 10 pounds in a race? I don't know.
Hey, I can do that at an aid station, no problem.
Yeah, I mean, gummy bears is a different scenario. I actually, I run my own nutrition strategy. I'm a psychopath with running my own nutrition strategy in races. It's another reason why I designed my own gear. I wanted my own way of running my nutrition strategy and not having stuff on course. As much as I love to eat gummy bears. peanut
Right.
butter cups and everything else, of
So I
course.
had a question too about the design because like I think when everyone thinks of orange mud, you think of the bottles like right on your back.
Yeah.
Is that kind of how all of the packs are designed? Do you do bladders? Like is that the orange mud design is having the bottles right on your back, correct?
Yeah. So that's what we started with, and
Hmm.
then it's still at the heart of our business. We have
Yeah.
incredible audience with that, but at the same time, I had people that are like, "Look, Josh, I'll be honest. I think it looks stupid. It looks like a jetpack. I don't
No,
like
I
it."
love
But
that.
now I have some people that are like, "I love it. It looks like a jetpack." But
Yeah.
but I had some people that just told me that like I just don't like them. I said, "Okay,
Okay.
that's fair.
Yeah.
I'll make a bladder pack because I'm a mountain biker too. I'm a very passionate cyclist. It's one of the greatest things in life to me. And bottle they just don't work well for cycling. You hit a bump,
Yeah.
next thing you know, that bottle takes off like a rocket. It's not good. So the bladders are perfect for that. And then we even have your more traditional wraparound vest that has flask in the front too, if you prefer that. Because again, sometimes it doesn't matter what my opinion is. It's
Right.
about what people ask for. Like people ask for waist belts forever, and I told people forever, I'm like, yeah, I'm working on it, working on it, and I did for like probably 10 years. But I hate the category. It's why I started Orange Mud is because I hate waist belts and I hate handhelds. And now I have two different versions of handhelds and I have a waist belt. But it's because people just ask over and over and over. I know you
Right.
like these things, Josh, but I still like these things, and therefore I want these things and you can do a good job. I'm like, but I can't. The category sucks. But eventually I figured it out, and
Right.
we launched a waist belt last year, and it's awesome. But
Very cool.
with a flask, so yeah, we've rounded out. I look at it, every time I design something, I don't like overlap. I don't like waste. It's just like we don't have waste in our packaging. It's like orange mud tag. It's three and a
Yeah.
half by inch and a half. It's paper. We don't put in all kinds of blister packs and all that. But it's the same thing in even building out a product category. I don't need, in my opinion, I don't want anybody to ever feel like you need to buy, this 2 liter pack and this 2 liter pack just because we have two models. Like if
Right.
this 2 liter pack does everything you need, why would I make another 2 liter pack? So I
Yeah.
don't. So
Yeah.
I try to keep things kind of simple. I pick it based upon customer requests and what fits the niche that whatever sport discipline people may have, or what distance and
Right.
duration people may have,
Well, I
and
find
that's
that
how we
too,
build it.
like with the way that packs and are the way that we've carried water, it changes so much over time. And I feel like maybe 10 years ago when I got into ultras, we started off at a certain place and then it became very minimal. And now, as you mentioned, it was like people are asking for the belt where you put a water bottle in a belt.
Yeah,
But now with these longer, like 200 and 300 mile races, we're going the opposite
yeah,
way again.
right,
Like it just goes with the times. But
yeah,
let's say someone's running like a Cocodona or an Arizona Monster. What pack
sure.
would you recommend from Orange Mud?
Yeah, so those I designed the Adventure Pack 12 liter and the Adventure Pack 20 liter with
Wow.
those things in mind. And those have gone through a ton of Cocodona and
Yeah.
you name it, all the big ones. And yeah, it's more of the fast packing category, which was being built out, you know, 10 years ago. That fast packing side was kind of that, it was kind of the term that people came out.
Right.
It was, I don't know, that long-term running thing. It was always kind of a weird category to me. I'm like, fast packing, you're basically running kind of instead of
Hiking.
hiking,
Yeah.
but you're probably actually going to be hiking. But for me, I technically I built that pack because I'm an adventure racer through and through. I always have been, and I love the multi-sport discipline of adventure racing. But it just happens to cross over where that when once you're tackling something greater than 100 miles, you need safety gear. You
Yeah.
need layers. You need changeability. And for me, that's why that pack is so perfect for that distance, because you're going to have to carry a bunch of extra crap, but it's
Yeah.
still super, it's light, and you're still going as minimal as possible. You're still packing, 10, 12, 15 pounds maximum. And so you still don't need a waist belt or anything like that from a stability perspective.
Mhm.
But yeah, the 12 and really the 20 liters, the sweet spot once you hit that 200-mile distance.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found that myself when I crewed and paced Cocodona. I needed a bigger pack because I had only went up to 100-mile races. I didn't need that big
Yeah.
pack, and it's a
Hmm.
whole different feel adding all that extra stuff, like a
Sure.
jacket and a bunch of water and things that you're not used to carrying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, yeah, otherwise you're just strapping it on all over the freaking place. Or you have to buy the best of everything. And
Right.
that you can end up spending an incredible amount of money on a
Yeah.
super expensive, very compressible, down jacket that's going to get just destroyed. Or,
Right.
your $400 rain jacket, which is, ultimately a survival tool. So it's worth it. But
But yeah.
It's still tough sometimes.
I want to know too, so for our listeners that maybe have never tried an orange mud, what's kind of your price range for, let's say, your go-to vest? What's kind of
Sure.
where we sitting on that? Because they can
Yeah.
get crazy expensive.
Yeah, so our endurance pack it's my favorite. I've biked up to 700 miles with it. I ran up to 100 miles with it. I've done about every sport with it, and it's 2 liter bladder, which was
Mhm.
what most people
Perfect.
need. I mean, if
Yeah.
you're gonna 2 liters is the sweet spot. From everything
Mhm.
we've tested, even in marathons for that matter, a lot of people will buy it for a marathon. Maybe you won't run with it in the marathon, but you'll train with it because you'll need that 3-4 hour range, of run training. So yeah, that one's $145, and you're gonna buy it, and it's gonna last forever.
Right.
I'm not a China import. It's just it's not how we are built. We're built quality, 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 all the way through. It's just my
Yeah.
only focal point. We I was just thinking today, our RFP pack, which is our 1.5 liter bladder wraparound pack, I've never had a defect. I've never had ever a defect on it. Even our endurance
Cool.
pack, that product, we're on version 4, I think 4. It's been out for probably 10 years. We probably had 4 returns for defects over the
Wow.
years. And it was always what it was the plastic tensioner got sewn on upside down, was it. And I mean, it's you just can't kill them. I
Yeah.
build backups into them. All my packs have a backup plan. If a main seam failed where the side straps are, that's usually the biggest risk. There's a backup plan to that. If the main seam failed, there's another backup
Right.
box which will never allow it to break.
Yeah.
I mean, it may not look as pretty, but it still won't fail you. So everything we do is built to last. The materials are durable. So it's really just different. I think some of us previous or prior or the higher end brands, some people are like, well, I can buy a cheap China backpack on Amazon for $30. I'm like, yeah,
Oh yeah.
you can. Are you going to trust it when you're running a long ways, or
No.
do you want to just buy that and then it's going to fall apart? You're going to throw it in the landfill, and then of course, it's as a guy who has sponsored hundreds of races, and we always get the, hey, why don't you throw in a bunch of free stuff? I'm like, where do you think that comes from? I guarantee the China guys that are selling that backpack for $30 on Amazon, they're not doing anything for the local community and never
Yeah.
have and never will. And
Yeah.
and people, we don't get any credit for it, but it is what it is. But there is cost associated with all those things,
Oh yeah.
building
How to
and
make a good
building.
product, you've got to
Yeah.
have, the support of, all of that. It's
Yeah.
so interesting to me too, just like to me when I wear my packs, like I now that you were mentioning it, I was thinking, how long do my packs last? And I just went through one that I've had maybe like 2 years, but I
Mm,
get so paranoid because you're always carrying your car key as a runner, right? Like you
right.
got to put it somewhere. So I'll put it in my pocket, but I start like the last like 10 runs, I started noticing that my pocket was disintegrating.
Yeah.
And I was like, eventually this is gonna really screw me when I lose my key.
Well,
So
and if you had an orange bud pack, every single one of my backpacks has a secure key
oh, I
clip
love that.
with
Yeah.
it's a hard nylon. It's actually nylon. It's not some low budget,
Mesh.
whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's on a 1/8 inch wide string to where
Mhm.
it's not going to break, and
It's not going anywhere.
it's bar tacked in. I like I said, I'm nerdy about things like that. All of our
Yeah.
packs have safety whistles in them in case
Yeah.
whatever happens, and a key clip. And as simple as that is, I'm amazed at some of the brands that come out with like, oh, we have a key clip too, and it's like some weird thing flopping on on your, or a whistle, sorry, and it's
Yeah.
like some weird thing on the shoulder of like, why would anybody ever want a whistle that's like flopping around with every time you took a
So
step?
great point. Where is your whistle? Because that's my like pet peeve with
Yeah.
normal packs is I'm constantly fighting with my whistle.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's no, ours is on the chest strap. It's right here. I
Okay.
probably have one floating around here somewhere,
So it
but
doesn't move as much, correct?
it doesn't move at all. No, it's on the chest strap. Yeah, it's right here. I mean, you just reach down and blow into it.
It's like
Freaking drink it from the
so
bivalve.
true. Yeah, that like literally the other day I was climbing Mount Wilson and like I was just fighting with this whistle, it's like almost hitting me
Yeah,
in the face.
painful.
Like
That's
the
right.
little
I look at
nuances.
it sometimes. I'm like, okay, well, we're a family owned business, my wife and I've designed everything. And then I look at some of these giant brands that are VC money. They've got, pros and these huge budgets. And then I'm like, who do they pay to design their stuff? Like
Yeah.
sometimes it's just a miracle that I think that they have built some of these monstrosity of brands just because
Mhm.
of size.
Yeah.
When you do weird things like that. Like, why would you integrate a whistle to where it doesn't move? Like, that's just weird. But
Right.
yeah, I'm
So I'm
glad they
curious.
don't figure it out.
So I'm curious. Obviously, you're an entrepreneur. So what is your background? Like,
Yeah. So my background is in manufacturing, actually, is what
Okay.
I started in. I spent my first 15 years running a big CNC manufacturing facility specialized in medical device and defense applications, semiconductor, and I started in sales and then ended up running the business. And
Oh,
when it comes to putting something in whatever in a machine and coming out with something amazing, I can run through about any design you imagine. I mean, I can't even tell you how many designs I've helped bring to market over the years. I mean, hundreds of thousands. I don't know, a lot. and
yeah.
and it was a fun business to be in. But I started this because I just wanted a better solution for me, honestly,
Hmm.
and I figured if I could spend the money and make me a better pack, and then hopefully other people would buy it too, was kind of the thought
Right.
process with how it
Yeah.
got there. But it really started because my wife was a lawyer, and I was a corporate guy, and when my son was born, we knew that we couldn't both run our 100-hour a week jobs.
Yeah.
And so I initially was like, hey, you know what? We're gonna spend like 50 grand. We're gonna come up with this. It's gonna be really cool. My little crude prototype that I sewed and glued and stapled together. I'm like, it works cool. If I can actually make it look good, make it make it look like it's worth more than 50 cents. Maybe people actually buy it because it looked pretty rough in the very beginning. But I said, hey, worst case, we can start a business and maybe it'll be a hobby at
Yeah.
the time. Yeah,
Passion.
I,
Yeah.
I was like, it'll be a good thing for you to do, as a hobby, right? And that to maybe pay a little bit but still have some satisfaction. And then once we had our second kid, she quit her job, and then I quit mine shortly after, and we've been doing it full time ever since. So
That's
12,
so
I think it's
cool.
12 years I've been doing this now for Orange Mud, and the business is 14 years old. So it took me a while. I mean, it takes an incredible amount of money to build a business, and incredible amount of investments to be able to get things off the ground and pay for
Yeah.
inventory. And then, every year we're growing, and that sounds good, but you grow and you're like, oh, well, growth is cool. Well, growth also takes capital, because all of a
Yeah.
sudden, like, oh yeah, that's great. We had a great year. Oh man, we have to cut a $750,000 purchase order. Oh my God.
That would be so stressful.
It's frightening. Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely frightening. And then, yeah, just navigating all the ups and downs of business is fun. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
So
Yeah.
why orange mud? Why is it called orange mud?
So my middle name is Clay, and when my son was born, I wanted to name him Clay because I always thought it was cool. And my wife said no. And so when he was 3 months old is when I started this. And so I went on GoDaddy, and I bought a whole bunch of domain names after about 5 glasses of wine and 5 hours of buying domain names. Uh, and Clay, which starts as is a mud, right? And then
Hmm.
sometimes it's orange, sometimes it's gray. That's how Orange Mud came about. And
Hmm.
so unfortunately, I didn't get Orange Mud, or I didn't get Clay into the brand name, which is what I told her I was going to do. And she's like, whatever. But Orange Mud became the domain that we stuck with, because it just had I didn't know at the time. Honestly, I didn't even know what I was doing when it came to designing backpacks. I just knew what
Hmm.
I wanted. And
Right.
again, when it came to like, designing a CAD 3D CAD model, yeah, I could do whatever you want.
Right.
But it's very different going from CNC machine precision to a backpack. It's
Right.
actually it's like it's not even apples and oranges, like apples and some weird zucchini or something. But it was a really fun thing to get started in, but I didn't really have that vision of what it would be.
Yeah.
I didn't actually think it would ever be what it is. Let's put it that way. I just thought
Yeah.
it'd probably be like, hey, I'm going to make a backpack, and maybe we'll just build just that backpack. But I never thought we'd have the line that we do today and be in all
Right.
these different disciplines. But yeah, it really just wanted to be something centered around dirt, and it's
I
my
love that.
favorite thing
Love it.
Oh,
Yes.
is
right.
getting
Yep.
people outside on dirt. So that's where
Cool,
Orange
cool way to
Mud
come
is
that
where
it
it's
all
at.
came together
Yeah.
too. So that's cool.
Yeah,
So before we started the show, we were kind of talking about you're crazy,
yeah,
like getting into
always.
fitness and all of that. And I think that we probably get along pretty well there.
Yeah.
Obviously, you asked a little bit about my background, and I'm a huge believer in strength. And so tell us a little bit about the push-up challenge you're doing with your son.
Yeah. So my background, it was started really my whole passion, I think, that got everything so ignited in exploring the outdoors on foot or with pedals is it was adventure racing. And some friends of mine that I used to race against, I didn't like them as much when we raced against them because they almost always beat us. It was Team Monster Energy. They were really
Yeah.
strong. And then they were the other team, they almost always won. And then my other friends, Butch and Vicky, they kick my butt all the time. And uh, but that being said, they were fantastic competitors, and they started a push-up challenge. Many years have gone by. I mean, this was 20 years ago when we were racing a lot, and when I started anyway with them. Well, they started just because they're psychopaths like me. They started this push-up challenge, and they have a Facebook group, and she invited me a year or two ago, and I just see every day she or her husband are in there posting, 100 push-ups, 5 mile trail run, 100 push-ups, whatever, bike ride. I'm like, I like this idea. And for years, I would do a New Year's challenge, and I would be like, you know what, I'm going to do 50 push-ups a day and 50 sit-ups a day for as long as I can go. I don't ever look at it as I'm going to do this every day for the year, because I know I'm probably going to fail at that. I like to set goals that are attainable, and because I'm going to get bored. But when I saw this last year, it was like the middle of the year last year, I thought, you know what, I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to do 50. I'm going to do at least 500 a week, because I like attainable goals. And I thought, there's no way I can't do 500 a week. And it actually kind of hurt my wrist there for a while. It took about a month or 6 weeks to get really, I didn't really see a whole lot of improvement. It was actually hard for like the first 6 weeks, but then it just hit a point where it's not. And so what I do is I do sets of 30 at least, but generally I do 30, and I'll just bang them out. I could do, go outside in the morning with the sunrise and just knock them out and space a couple, 2-3 minutes apart. Or I may do it, one in the morning, one at noon, and one a couple later in the day. And then some days it happens where I'm just too busy, or some weeks, and it could be Sunday where I have to do 300 push-ups because I've only done 200. But then sometimes, like this week, I'm on my Thursdays push-ups right now, and my goal this week is probably to do 700 or so, and I just like to do at least 500. But it's you can do 500 push-ups. Like, I log it on Strava every week. Like I said, I think I'm on week 39 or 38 now.
Yeah.
And I'll log it on Strava on Sunday every week of an hour of push-up time. And that's probably what it is to do 500. I don't really ever time it, but it may not even be that. And so what I like is, we all have these goals that are stupid. Like, I've had coaches give me goals of 6 days a week training. Like when I did my first Ironman, they're like, hey, here's your training plan. And literally the end of the first week, I was already failing. I only got in like 4 days. And so like the coaches I like the most, like my buddy Marvin Sandoval, when I used to have him for a coach doing Leadman stuff, I was like, man, I'll give you 4 days a week. And like, put in a 5th day is like a bonus day, but give me 4 days, because I can win 4 days and I can be a hero and feel good about myself. But again, that's why I like this push-up challenge. It's such a small goal, but it has giant impacts. And every day I feel accomplished. Whereas you wouldn't feel good if you did a 5-mile run. You probably wouldn't even feel good if you did a 20-minute run. Most of us are nuts, right? Like, I don't even want to think about putting my shoes on unless I'm going to go run for at least an hour or 45 minutes, or a bike ride, same thing. So push-ups, I feel satisfied that I achieved, 5 minutes of output to do, 120 push-ups.
Yeah. Right.
And
that's cool. So back,
it's simple.
Several years ago, I was really into coaching CrossFit, and so the challenge was the burpees. So it was the same kind of concept, doing so many burpees a day. And then my kids were young, probably middle school, high school. So our whole family was doing them. Did your family participate too, or? Yeah.
So yeah. Well, yes and no. So my son, the other day, he's like, man, Dad, I'm really torn up. I'm like, yeah, what are you torn up from? And he plays soccer for club and for school. And he just finished running track for school. And he's fast. He ran a 5:14 mile, set the school record.
Oh, awesome.
And for 8th grade. And I'm like, well, what are you torn up about? He's like, man, I did a push-up and dumbbell workout this week. It just ripped me. I'm like, really? I'm like, what exactly was it?
I love that.
But yeah, both my kids, they do exercise in the room. Sometimes I'll walk in my daughter's room, and she's 12, and I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, oh, I'm just doing my core workout. I'm like, wow, good job.
Love
I didn't even know. How long have you been doing this? I do this every day, Dad. I'm like, oh, I don't know.
Like,
I don't go in your room.
Isn't that so cool to feel like you're modeling something that the kids are doing?
Yeah.
So my kids are grown now. So my son will be 30 this summer, and my daughter's 27, and they're still doing it, right? So a couple years ago, my son said, like, one of the things he's so happy that I taught him was strength training, because a lot of his friends weren't as familiar, and he was able to teach them, so it's really cool.
Fun skills.
To see them still doing it, and then and doing it with me now. So a couple of years ago, I went out and actually saw Lindsay and did the San Diego marathon, but my son was living out there. So, he's like 3 weeks out. Hey, Mom, do you want to come run a marathon with me? Okay. Like, yeah, sure. I'm ready. My daughter's like, well, stop by Boulder and do Boulder, with me before you go. So it's just really cool, because you'll get to see that someday. Like,
Yeah.
Well, and we've already done stupid things. My son, just what 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago now, I think it was. I signed up for a 12-hour adventure race right here, 8 minutes from my house at Georgetown Lake, and so
Yeah.
we were going to be running, biking, kayaking, all off grid, mostly off grid, the map and compass for 12 hours, and I was going to do it solo, but he's so strong. I was like, man,
Yeah.
Jax, you're such a freaking crazy athlete. You want to come do this with me? And
Right.
he's like, yeah, sure. And
Love it.
now, if I ask most adults that I know, there's like
Like
they'd be
no.
like, no way. But
Yep.
what I like about kids is that they don't know what their limits are.
Yeah.
Right.
When
Yep.
we get
So
older,
fun.
we all of a sudden, like the first time I signed up for a marathon, I'm like, well, that sounds like a long ways. This is gonna be
Yeah.
hard,
Yep.
And I was training, it was all serious. Kids are like, yeah, sure, why
I can
not?
do it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
Jackson's probably like, yeah, Dad, I know you're not very fast, and
Where are
how
these
how hard can it be? I mean,
I
we
have an
kicked
athlete
ass.
that does these endurance adventure races too. Where
Mhm.
are you currently, or where are these at?
Yeah, I'm in Austin, north
Okay,
end
yeah.
of Austin.
Yeah. One of my
Yeah,
athletes, Levi, does them. I believe I can't even remember where he lives, somewhere in the Midwest, but he
yeah.
loves those adventure races and he'll spring them on me every so often. He's like, oh, I forgot I have a 12-hour adventure race this
Yeah.
weekend.
It's one of the greatest disciplines
Yeah.
out there. I tell any trail runner when you get bored of just putting one foot after another every day and you want to do something that's going to scare you a little bit,
Yeah.
and it mixes it up. Like what I like about one of the hard parts about trail running, especially ultra running, is that you're running and next thing you know, your feet hurt, your back hurts, whatever. It's something hurts,
Right.
and you just are like, gosh, I got a long ways to go. But the cool part about adventure racing is you go out there and you're like, all right, we just ran 30 miles. I am done running. And then
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I'm excited to get in the kayak. Let's go paddle for 25 miles. This will be fun. And by the time 25 miles is done, you're like, man, thank God that is over because my back, my butt, my arm, everything hurts. And now I'm ready to go mountain bike. And then you jump on the mountain bike and then same
I
thing.
love
And by
that.
the time, actually, I never get tired of mountain biking. But generally, at some point, you may be like, hey, being on foot again would be nice.
Would be nice.
Or,
Yeah.
whatever it is. So it's a neat way to explore nature
Hmm.
and your brain is constantly occupied because you're navigating via map and compass and you're self-supported, so you have to carry
Right.
your own safety gear and your own nutrition. You don't have aid stations. It's
Yeah.
just, I mean,
It's so
maybe
fun.
there's some that do, but that most don't. So it's just a nice way to mix up something different.
Yeah, I love that. So I know whenever we were kind of just talking with you, or Loretta was talking with you prior, and she had shared some with me. Did you say you design other things too outside of Orange Mud? Is that
Yeah,
correct? Yeah, let's hear a little
yeah.
bit about that.
Yeah, so I so I started Orange Mud out of hatred with other stuff on the market. So I have a lot of frustration issues in the world. So yeah, Seven Clay. I never went with this as a tagline, but I should have. But Seven Clay is my other business, and we do custom apparel for brands,
Oh,
and
cool.
so well, I started it because our transition wrap, the seat cover that I have for Orange Mud, we were customizing about $250,000 worth of that a year. And when we
Wow.
moved our business to Texas 7 years ago, I couldn't find any shops that were good or that were nice or that had decent prices,
Yeah.
and so out of spite, I just wanted to hurt them. There was three different businesses that I'd use, and I only started the business simply to hurt them, and
Yeah.
because it pissed me off that I even had to start another company to do embroidery work. I'm like, how hard
Yeah.
is this? But I constantly had to struggle with people and with getting the right quality that would match our brand.
Right.
Everything we did was always going to be the best. There's no exception to it. And it's like, man, when you're embroidering like Fleet Feet, it's the
Yeah.
basic logo, and we do it. We're in 180 Fleet Feet stores, and putting their logo on that product for them. And I was like, man, I just want that. It's text. Like, how hard can it be? And
Yeah.
these shops, I remember this guy's like, no, you don't understand, Josh. This is hard, and these are industry allowances for these loose threads and
Yeah.
everything. I'm like, I don't know, man.
Like I
So
could
I
figure
went,
it out.
I went and spent $58,000. Came home one night and told my wife, "Hey, I bought a machine. Cost 58 grand." She's like, "For what?" I'm like,
It's like again.
I'm gonna hurt some people. I'm gonna put these people out of business." And we put three of them out of business. I care less. And now that business is actually bigger than Orange Mud, and we've had it for 7 years. Come September this year, it'll be 7 years,
Wow.
and it's just it's taken off. And so we have full embroidery, screen print, laser engraving. I mean, you name it. We
That's
do
so
a
cool.
lot of custom caps is our jam. We love custom caps, but we do
Yeah.
all shirts and everything. But yeah, we made a ton of Ornery Mules, caps over
Yeah.
the years,
That's so cool.
and yeah, it's been a lot of fun. What I found is that I love building brands. I don't like the
Hmm.
day-to-day maintenance. Like
Right.
if you want to talk to me about accounting, I'll be bored out of my mind. I like numbers, but not that much. I'd rather talk about building things.
Yeah.
And so it's neat that, I get to work with people all the time that call in and they're building a brand and they need some help. And
I love
so,
that.
myself or my team will help them do that. And so, yeah, that's been it was a nice break to help complement things too, because before I used to take a piece of paper, a poster board, and I would draw out a pattern, a theoretical design that I was going to start with.
Yeah.
And then I would cut it out and I'd unfold it and I'd have a full pattern, and that'd be piece one. And then I'd just keep multiplying on top of there. But now I'm really talented in Adobe Illustrator, so I design everything digitally. And then
Yeah.
I have a whole bunch of lasers in my shop, so I just send it to the shop. I'm like, hey, cut this out. And then I have two full-time seamstresses. I'm like, hey, have Mariana go sew that for me and see how that turns out. And then so we're able to run more, scientific, more mathematical, and it's reduced time to
Right.
market, and it's allowed us to have a little bit more design depth than we did previously, which was, it was a lot harder when you're doing things with a pin and
Oh,
poster
definitely.
board.
I can imagine.
So, yeah. So
So
it's a
as
nice
far as
compliment.
like Orange Mud is concerned, I know you were saying that you guys have sponsored a lot of races and things like that over the years. With Orange Mud's growth, kind of what's your plan in the next like 5? Are you still sponsoring a ton of races? What's up next?
Yeah, what I would say on the race side, I don't sponsor near as many anymore, and the only
Mm-hmm.
reason is that honestly, the cost
Mm-hmm.
of business is just it's gone up a
Hi.
lot over the
Yeah.
last like 6, 7, 8 years. I don't know, it's been a while. From fulfillment, shipping, duties, tariffs, you pick it. There's just so many pieces that have beat up the e-commerce space. Even advertising expenses have literally doubled.
Yeah.
Shipping has doubled. Everything. So we've had to pull back on a lot of that, and it's something that's like I still sponsor a lot of small grassroots races with,
Mm-hmm.
we were doing Kansas Ultra Running Society this morning. We were cutting a bunch of gift cards for them, and so we'll
Yeah.
do stuff like that where it's more of the grassroots side, but it's something it's more of marketing expense in many ways rather
Yeah.
than there's not generally return there, which
Yeah.
I don't always go into things with that focus. I don't mean to sound like that, but at the same time,
It's a business.
we're not Nike, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a small business, and
Yeah.
and it's we have smaller budgets, and I think sometimes people think you're like, oh, you guys are just loaded. I'm like, I wish we were, but I
Um,
assure you, the sporting goods business is a passion-based business. It
yeah.
does not have the profits that one would think. I wish they would, but
Yeah.
it's a lifestyle, and that part I love. But anytime people ask me, I'm like, man, I've been thinking about starting a business. I'm like, all
Think
right,
harder.
well, yeah, think really hard before you go doing that. I'm like, if you really
Yeah.
like your job and you get paid really well, you may want to consider staying there.
Right.
But if you want to do something that you love, and then yeah, go
Yeah.
for it.
I think we deal with that too in like the coaching world, like everything we do like around coaching. We have
Sure.
such a passion for it and it's like something we just love to do. And I would literally do it for free, but I have to remember this is also like how I pay my bills sometimes too.
Yeah,
So like
right.
and there shouldn't be any shame in that too. And you have to charge what you're worth and it holds people
Yep.
accountable. So like I totally get it. Like we would love to just do things out of passion, but at the same time it's like, well, I kind of have to live too.
Yeah, it is. It's a tough balance, and
Yeah.
and I've had some races even like, dude, last year you gave us like $3,000 worth of stuff. I'm like, yeah, well, and I got nothing in return.
Yeah.
I mean, most races actually don't even give you any marketing. Like, here's what I
Yeah.
would say for any race directors that are listening: if you want to pitch, tell me how you can help me too.
Yeah.
It's got to be a two-way street. No different than you guys. I'm sure you get a lot
Yeah.
of people are like, well, hey, why don't you coach me for free because I'm a professional athlete, and you're
Yeah.
going to get brand exposure. I'm like, okay, how exactly are you
Yeah.
going to
Let's make
give
a
me brand
plan for this.
exposure?
Yeah.
It is something that I feel like I buried myself in the community over the years, in trying to help. And again, I had to, at one point, I just had to say, man, I need to stop doing this because I'm
Yeah.
only hurting myself is all it
Yeah.
was. And,
Yeah.
it's, so yeah, it is
Fine,
tricky,
fine.
and because you always want to help, you always feel bad. A lot of
Yeah.
these race directors, most of them aren't making any money. They're just doing it because they love the sport
Yeah.
too,
We're all
which
just
I
in here because
agree.
we love it.
Yeah, but the problem is there's like a trillion trail running races now. It was
Yeah.
also different when I started this 14 years ago because it was like, oh man, you're putting on a trail race, an ultra race. This is great. I would love to come out. I'll give you some stuff. But then all of a sudden, there's a trail ultra race, 5 in every city every single
Yeah.
weekend. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe not that, but it's the growth in the sport has been insane,
Right.
and which is great, of course, but it also dilutes things and
Yeah.
makes it harder to be able to support everybody.
Yeah. We do live in a really cool time though with social media. And I'm sure you've been in the business long enough to see like social media grow and how you can do marketing in a different way, maybe less cost. But like,
Yeah,
10, 15 years ago, you were having to probably do more like in-person advertising and things like that. But I'm sure Orange Mud is thriving on social media because I see people post about it all the time.
sure.
I'm sure you guys have an ambassador program or something similar.
We do.
But yeah, just it's incredible how social media is kind of like completely taken by that. But I'm also a massage therapist, and I was thinking too, like I always tell my other friends who are charging to go to people's homes to do massage, I'm like, do not cheapen yourself because it hurts us all. And I think that's what we have to remember too.
Yeah.
Like when you set your value, it does help everyone else in your industry too. Like if one person's doing it for free, then everyone's expected to do it for free. So
Yeah.
like state your worth, and it helps everybody. It helps us all in the wellness space. So I think it's good. And of course we love all what we do, but you have
Yep.
to set it up for success so that everyone can kind of profit and do the best that they can too. So it's good.
Yeah, otherwise we wouldn't be here. And then you're
Yeah.
just stuck with whatever low budget, whatever it is. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean that's the other side of it. And it's funny. I used to take almost I would be like offended sometimes. You see somebody running and you're packed like, I love your pack, but I wanted this other color and I bought this $30 version. I'm like, oh, okay.
Okay.
And then you hit a point where like, you know what, I get it.
Yeah.
Like the price of shoes anymore, for example, they're
Yeah.
$180. I had a thing out the other day saying they're raising their average cost to like $200 or something,
Yeah,
which
it's
I think
wild
is
to buy a pair of
insanity.
shoes.
Yeah. And I believe in quality and I love Ons. I think their shoes are
Yeah, they're great.
fantastic. But I'm the first one to be like, when they continued to raise their price of shoes, I was like, you know
Yeah.
what? I'm going to try something different. I switched to some Brooks and I've been loving my Brooks and now I'm
The
a
good
huge
old
Brooks
trusty
fan.
Brooks.
So there is a point where all of us consumers have a tipping point and we can
Yeah.
only go so far
Yeah.
that I like my shoes to look clean. Like I
Yeah.
have I mean, I own a sporting goods business. My dress shoe is a tennis shoe.
Oh
So I
yeah.
like to have my clean trail running shoes that look pretty. And then once they look not pretty, once they're scuffed up, then they become trail running
Yeah.
shoes. I don't
Exactly.
buy a brand new shoe in many cases. I don't buy a brand new shoe to go run in it right now.
Yeah.
I wait until my daily wear is dirty, which could sometimes be in a week. Hence why I don't want to spend $200 on a pair of shoes because I want them to look pretty. Now, once I'm running, I don't care. I'll run them until the freaking wheels come off and they look
Oh
like
yeah.
crap. That's totally fine. And then they turn into fishing shoes after that, or leg
And
shoes.
mowing shoes and
I
yeah.
have a hard time getting rid of shoes sometimes,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Well,
yeah, it's a funny world figuring
yeah.
all this out.
One more question about I just think about all these. I love business stuff too, but whenever like your Orange Mud pack, did you ever do because you said there's, knockoff versions on Amazon
Yeah.
or whatever. Do you have a patent on any sort of design, or is that just kind of out there?
Sure. Yeah, so I do have a patent on our transition wrap, the seat cover that we designed,
Okay.
and that cost me all in about
I'm
$40,000.
sure it's still
That's how much I've spent over the years,
yeah.
and because I think a lot of people think you just patent it and then
No.
you're good. It just doesn't
No.
work like that. Like I just spent $4,000 just like I patented it 13 years ago. And
Yeah.
in late last year, my attorney's like, hey, we need another $4,000 for this. I'm like, for
Uh,
what? He's like, told me that. I'm like, fine,
okay.
whatever. Here's a check. I'm like, dang it. But it is what it is. Now, I filed some design patents on some other packs, and design patents are about, they're about as useless as you can get.
About to say,
They
how
look
effective
cool.
are they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not. I mean, because all you gotta do is just change the design a little bit, and then if it
Right.
looks slightly different, you're okay. Utility patents are where it's at, and that's what I filed on the transition wrap. And I was really proud of it because coming from the manufacturing space, I was always enamored when I walked through these hallways. You see all these cool patents, you're like, oh, these things are cool. And it didn't even matter what it was. It could be a piece of bubblegum wrapper, but it's still neat to have a patent. So I always wanted one. So once I had one, I was like, all right, now I'm cool. I'm accomplished.
Yeah.
So I didn't put as much effort into it, but where I shifted is through the learning process.
Mm.
And so because I have people all the time like I filed a patent on this. I'm like, okay, good luck, because A, you're not going to get a patent on that, and then B, I don't think a lot of people realize what it takes to really make that effective. And what I
Yeah.
mean by that is, let's say that somebody, maybe I patented our endurance pack. You have what's first called common and obvious. And so it's a backpack. How different is it than another backpack?
Yeah.
So sure, maybe it's got some little key features and whatever, and you'd have to patent that
Each one,
feature.
right?
But
Yeah.
good luck fighting the patent office because they are crazy. Like
Yeah.
I could go on many things, but to stay on point with patents, A, it's hard to get
Yeah.
first, and then B, even if you do get it, somebody can A, probably work around it, but if not, and if they truly violate your patent, then you need to spend probably $100,000 or
Defending
more,
it, right?
but
Yeah.
100 on the low end
Oh,
to be able to sue them.
yeah.
So that's the
Not
piece I
really.
don't think a lot of people understand. Now, what I will say is I had some I had some people I did not like on Alibaba and then some domestically. They were posting trying to sell my product, my transition wrap
Yeah.
that last year, my images, like my
Yeah.
description, my everything. And I know that they don't have it. I don't even know what the strategy is.
Oh, yeah.
But I sent cease and desist letters to each one of them, copies of my patent, and it actually stopped every single one of them, which I was
Oh, wow.
surprised by because Chinese, they don't really care. They can do
Yeah.
whatever they want. I mean, that's the truth. They can do whatever they want. Now, if they sell into the U.S., in theory, in actuality, I have actions I can take, but not a
Still not.
lot. But it's something that I've learned that basically, if you have a neat design, you bring it to market and you run like hell. That's
Yeah.
what you do.
Be
You
the
build
best and be
it,
the
you
first,
become the
right?
industry leader, you
Yeah.
become, the expert in your category, you make it different, you sell your brand for what it is, we stand behind it. Like if somebody has a problem, you call Orange Mud. You can actually call our office and you'll talk to my wife, who's the owner of the business also. We don't have some whatever, like
Third
just you
party.
got to email in, go through some third party, you'll never figure it out who these people are. Like
Yeah.
if you don't know how to fit or you've got a question or maybe you're a bigger runner and you can't get a pack to fit you, we'll customize it for free. Like
Yeah.
good luck finding somebody else to do that.
Yeah.
But that's where we build a brand that we want to take care of the community. And or if maybe you're a petite runner, you're like, hey, I don't like these extra straps flopping around. Well, cool. Tell us that. We'll chop
Yeah.
them off. We'll sear them. We'll sew them. We'll make it all perfect before it even comes to your door.
I
So
love that.
we built the brand on amazing customer service, amazing quality, amazing stability, and long term performance. And we're going to be here,
Yeah.
until hopefully till the day we die. So we'll see
Yeah.
how that goes. But yeah, so that's where patents I think are great. I think they're pretty.
Yeah.
They're heavy investments and tough to enforce and also just tough to get.
Okay, one more question for me about Orange Mud. Where
Mhm.
can people find them? Are you strictly online or are you in retail? What's the deal with that?
Sure. Yeah, with hydration packs, most retail stores don't focus on hydration packs very
Yeah.
much, so we barely push on that. Transition wraps, we're in tons of running retail stores, specialty
Cool.
retail stores, all around the country. But yeah, online, orangemud.com. We're on Amazon as well, of course. But we love people going to Orange Mud. We have a better educational platform. And
Right.
one thing that I will say when it comes to packs, everything that I've done has been a little bit different, especially with our Hide to Quiver series, because again, there's no chest strap. And so at least go to our website. If you're going to buy it on Amazon, go to our website, watch our use videos. And so we
Yeah.
explain like, here's how to fit it and here's how to, do whatever it is you need to adjust per pack to make it optimal for you. Amazon, that's the one thing that sucks about Amazon. I love it. We all spend, most of our paychecks on Amazon, but at the same time, they don't educate well. That's the problem with Amazon. And so that's where as brands, I know we do a better job of educating, and that's our whole goal. But yeah, orangemud.com or Amazon.
Awesome. Loretta, do you have any more questions? I could literally ask a million, but let's keep
Yes.
it.
Yeah, so I'm just going to veer away from the company exactly. And I just want to
Sure.
know, like, what is your favorite race that you've done? Because it sounds like you've done lots of different adventure races, biking,
Yeah.
running, all of that. I mean, what is your favorite?
Oh man. I mean, I've done over 500 endurance races
Nice.
and across pretty much every discipline. So I will say, I would say sticking with your platform in the trail running space, one of my favorite in terms of a finish is it was the Hawk 100 I did. I don't know, it's probably 8 or 9 years ago. I ran it on a broken foot. I broke in Leadville the week I think it was 3 weeks beforehand, and but I implemented a mall walking strategy, and
Oh,
because
yeah.
I thought, I was able to kind of walk about that week beforehand. I thought, I bet I could probably use trekking poles and kind of just swing
Yeah.
my hips and mall walk this
You're like
thing.
a
And I
coach's
should.
nightmare, aren't you?
I know.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And when I went to the podiatrist, he's like, well, your four metatarsals are broken. And I was like, am I going to hurt
That's
it any
fine.
worse? He
Yeah,
said,
so,
nah, you
so I
can't
can
hurt
do the
them any
100.
worse. Yeah. And so I went into it. I was only signed up for the 50, but I had this hidden goal. of doing the 100 because it broke me. I've hardly ever, I think I've only DNF 3 races in my entire life. And
Yeah.
so to DNF Leadville, it morally broke me. I just couldn't believe I couldn't finish it.
Yeah.
But I broke my foot at mile 22 or something, and I picked up a stick and I got to Twin Lakes where I got my trekking poles. I still went over Hope Pass and back into mile 72 before I was just going too slow. I mean, my
Yeah.
foot was that big around. It was crazy. So anyway, yeah, I went into that race with a mall walk strategy. I told my buddy Ron, no offense, Ron, but he's not super fast. And I was like, hey, Ron, I'm gonna run with you. And he's like, cool. And or run walk. Anyway, I ended up running most of the race actually with my buddy Kevin until he quit at mile 50. And I was still tracking ahead of Ron. I think he was having a bad day. And at mile 50, I asked the race director, Sherry, I was like, hey, would you mind if I upgraded to the 100? And I didn't even tell my wife what I was doing. I only told my buddy Ron and my buddy Kevin. I didn't tell anybody else.
Yeah.
And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I actually feel all right. Like this whole, run the uphills and walk the flats and downhills, which is the opposite of what I would normally ever do. But with a broken foot, that was what didn't hurt. And she's like, whatever, yeah, go ahead. So I took off on the back 50, and then my wife called me at like mile 60, and she saw my tracker. And she's like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm doing the 100. This is cool. I feel good. And it's the first time I ever came in dead last in a race, but I finished in 31 hours, and it was cool. My buddy Ron actually came back out and met me. I was like crying the last 4 miles. It was so emotional that I didn't think I'd actually finish it. And then I met my son at the finish line. It was the coolest picture ever. So,
where was this one at?
That was cool. The Hawk 100, it's in Kansas. They have a trail marathon of 50 and 100, and it's 4 loops on near Clinton Lake. Cool. And it's a gorgeous course, and it's if you look at it from a topography perspective, it's kind of this rolling terrain, and you're like, that's easy. Cool. But it's not, because it's all these little rocks. It's beautiful dirt and rocks, and you're mostly covered in tree canopy, but it's just like a slow foot eraser, and it just slowly grinds your feet down. And so it's still hard, but it's this nice flowy course, and just amazing people. And like I ran it the following year with a marathon, and we drank Fireball the whole time. And I mean, it was just irresponsible. And so, but that's the type of venue it is. It's either, it's whatever you want. If you want to go hard and run fast, it's great. If you want to go out and have a great time, the aid stations there are like second to none. They're really cool.
Put up for it.
So it's put on by the Lawrence Trailhawks, and they're
cool.
Good people.
Love it. Yeah, so I really love it that you have such passion for the sport, and that you've also like participated in so many events. So when you're designing these things, you have just so much knowledge and experience of your own to like really put it into work. I think that's really cool. So
it's anything I design, it's because I really ultimately wanted it for me.
Right.
That's what I tell people. I'm like, it all starts with me, and then I just modify the design to where it fits for whatever
other people,
type, and everybody. So
I love that.
But it is fun. I mean, it's like my son, when we did that 12-hour adventure race, he wore the Adventure Pack 12-liter prototype. It was a gray version I never made. It was a single prototype. I built it like 10 years ago or something. And
he wore it.
And we put on new straps for it and kind of changed it up a little bit and tweaked it down, because he's a little beanpole of 5'6", 110-pound kid. And it was cool to be doing a race too, with your son, and then B with one of your
a prototype.
Designs.
And, how cool is that?
So it's been an incredible amount of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you'd like to share before we close up?
I like my old piece always is just get outside and go have fun, even if you're gonna wear some low budget knockoff from Amazon. That's fine, but go outside and get on trails, and I do believe everything can be solved by a little bit of dirt.
Absolutely. 100% agree.
Yeah.
Love it. So I have one thing to share. If you haven't seen, Ornery Mule has a new race that has just been listed on Ultra Sign Up. It's called the Porky's Wilderness Race, and it's in the UP of Michigan. So it's in the Porcupine Mountains.
How fun.
There is a reel that's out on their page that shows the course. It looks absolutely amazing. I think there's several miles along Lake Superior. This year it's going to be a 50-mile and a heavy half marathon, but then the goal is for 100 and 200 in the next year or so. So
amazing.
All right.
That's cool. cool expansion. And I live in Michigan, so it's
Yeah,
nice.
I'm gonna have to come out.
It looks really, really cool, Lindsay. So
Awesome. Very
yeah.
cool. Yeah, I'll have to check
You've
it
got
out.
amazing topography in Michigan. I think a lot of Midwesterners um, can relate quite well. You know, I know, like I went up and did a gravel bike race outside of Grand Rapids quite a few years ago, and it was the first time I'd ever gone up to Michigan from a racing perspective, and it to me it was a lot like being in eastern Kansas where I grew up, where it's the rolling hills, but yet you still hit some fairly good climbs, and then yeah, you get up in the UP and it's just an entirely different
So different.
world.
Yeah.
And I mean Michigan is an incredible state. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
I
From
love that.
everything.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
that's cool. I just ran
Yeah.
a race this weekend from Kalamazoo to South Haven, so all the way to the lake, and it's just really,
Sure.
yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it. I have to come up and see more of it.
Yes, for sure.
It's a
All
big
right.
country. We got a lot of places
I
to go
know.
to. It's a
There's like
problem. There's
so
too
many
many
good
races.
races, so many good corners of the US. Like everyone's
Yeah.
always like, when are you gonna go overseas and race? I'm like, I've got so many on my bucket list in the States. Let me knock these out first.
Yeah. Yeah,
I love
man,
it.
there's truth to that. I did a race in Malaysia once. I
Hmm.
think that's the only race I've done overseas.
Yeah.
I rode and ran bunch of different
Yeah.
places, but I was in Vietnam in my factory, and we finished up early. And my buddy Jack, I told him, I was like, dude, I'm randomly sponsoring a race in Malaysia tomorrow.
I
I'm
gotta
like, you
go.
want to fly to Malaysia? And it was called the Penang Eco something.
Yeah.
And it was a distributor out of Singapore and Malaysia for us that I sponsored it with. But we jumped on a plane late at night and I forgot to look at the globe, and we flew into the wrong airport, I took the longest Uber ride ever. We took I think it was an 8 hour Uber
Oh
ride,
my,
maybe
Oh my
six and a half
gosh.
hour. I think it was 6.5 hour Uber ride. When I pulled it up, we got outside. I'm like, nah, that can't be right. And the guy's like, is this right? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, you flew into the wrong airport. I'm like, oh, that's a problem. And it was like a $400 Uber ride.
I made it
Um,
work.
but we got in at 6 a.m. and checked into our hotel that should have been the night before, and then and we went and ran all day, 30K in the crazy freaking like jungle.
Jungle.
Everything went straight up or straight down. Every step was a slip, and
That's
because it was so
fun.
muddy. But it was one of the coolest experiences
Oh,
ever.
I
So I
bet.
do think there's something to be said for some of the overseas
Oh
racing,
yeah.
but again, I think sometimes we forget that there's just so much right here in our backyard.
Yeah.
Even here in Texas, I haven't hardly done much in Texas, let alone
I know. I'm from Texas too,
other
so yeah,
places.
I haven't done nearly enough in Texas, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, there's a
Cool.
lot.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. And
Yeah,
I will be following and of course the Orange Mud Instagram we can all follow and get any updates.
sure.
But yeah,
Appreciate it.
thank you everyone for listening. And yeah, this is the Dirt to Running podcast, and join us next time.
All right, thanks everybody.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Bye.